How we doing today, folks? Good, hopefully. Everybody's got a hobby, right? Some have one, some have multiple, some are like me, and they can jump hobbies and they have 1,000. We need to find ways to monetize those hobbies. Some hobbies you can't. I have ones that there is no way that I will make money from that hobby. I'm just going to keep throwing money at it continuously. And I'm going to enjoy it, but I can't make money from it. So I created Rooney Sasquatch Custom Leather Crafts. Something that I could make money from, but still make something functional and that somebody's going to use. That's what I care about. I want them to use my product on a daily basis, semi-daily basis, whenever they have it, but I want them to want it. I want them to want to spend the money on it, but I also want them to enjoy it. So I make it customized for them. Learning how to do this was a stretch. Now, I grew up pretty rural, pretty poor. I learned from my grandfather about leatherwork. Now, he didn't make anything new. He refurbished things. I remember the first thing I ever learned was how to restitch boots in the sole of a boot. Because you can't buy a new pair of boots. You had to restitch them. So I started looking. And the best thing I want you guys to take from this is find your group. Find your people that you can learn from. Ask them. We had people up here earlier, the 3 people before me, each one talked about the internet. Use that to your capabilities. Facebook has a group for every interest that you can think of. And if you think your interest is the most smallest niche thing in the world, I bet you there's 100,000 different groups on Facebook that also think that. There's fandoms, there's groups, there's everybody that you can join. Join those groups, and the first thing you want to do is learn from them. Look at their projects. Look at what they're doing. See if you can practice that, if you can emulate it. Ask them questions. Most of these people in these groups are more than happy to help you because they didn't have that before. They had to learn it all. So they contact, and you go back and forth. You figure out what you're wanting to do, and you start practicing. Ask as much help as you can. My first thing that I did was make a knife sheath, itty-bitty knife sheath, something that I hated the sheath that came with it when I bought it from the day I bought it. I wanted it to be functional, I wanted it to be useful, but I wanted it to work for me. So I made one, wore it for about a week, hated it. Didn't like how it was. It looked standard, it looked basic, like I went to Hobby Lobby, bought one of those packs and just stitched it together, colored it, and made it look okay. So then I made another iteration, and another iteration, and another, and another. You can ask my spouse who's sitting right there, 15 iterations later, I'm finally happy. Finally happy with what I made. I then went into that group, showed people what I made, and got validation. That's cool, that's awesome. I want one just like that. Make it, sell it. And that's how it is. You're going to utilize that group to learn, you're going to utilize that group to sell, and then you're going to move to a next bigger project. Now, project choices going all the way up, that can differ wherever you're going to be. I've moved from just doing leather crafts to Kydex, which is a formable, heat-formable plastic. Something that's a little bit more sturdy for people that are going to be using whatever item I'm making for them. If they're going to use it on a daily basis in a little bit more rugged fashion, leather is going to fall apart. It's organic. I know that. I've torn apart leather holsters multiple times. So this plastic is going to help for that. Slowly but surely learning the next step and the next level of iteration. The latest project I did, which I'm not selling, it was a pet project for myself, but there's a market for it. I could probably find it within these groups that I'm a part of because I looked and I searched. Was a helmet cover. Legitimately just for that, for fire rescue stuff. It just covers your helmet. It's made completely out of leather. If you ask the fire EMS community, we're all nostalgic for leather helmets. It's just what we do. So I'm going to make this kind of look cool, be functional, but also be nostalgic, something that somebody's going to buy or want to buy. But I did it for myself first because I'm selfish and I want it to look cool. But that's basically it. Find your group, learn from that group, practice as much as you can, be humble towards it, make sure you are accepting the failures, learning from those failures, asking every question that you have, and then when you find somebody else in that group who's starting out where you did,